The next major Fallout 76 update is bringing some serious heat and some big changes, and I'm not just talking about fishing. Bethesda just dropped a bombshell with a massive overhaul to weapons and combat across the board. Yep, we're talking lower AP cost, boosted damage, and higher critical potential for a huge variety of weapons. So grab your popcorn, open up a Nuka-Cola, and let's break down all the important changes coming your way. And trust me, you're going to want to take notes on this because this is a huge game changer without a doubt. They're basically overhauling 90% of the weapons in the game. So let's get into it now. Now, let's kick things off with one of the smaller changes, in my opinion, and that's going to be with the AP cost. While it might seem like a smaller change, though, it's going to have a huge impact on how often you could use VATS effectively, and it's going to change a lot of commando builds, and honestly make them a little bit easier to run with. Some of the weapons didn't really make sense, in my opinion, just because of how low it is, how low their VATS cost already was when you modify the weapon correctly. But again, they're overhauling everything in the next couple of updates, so let's talk about the AP reduction costs. Here's the full list. We have the Alien Disintegrator going from 25 to 17, which is huge. They're really going to try and push this weapon. I personally love it. We have the Handmade Rifle going from 32 to 16, which is probably the biggest change of like a widely used weapon on this entire list. That's going to be crazy. A lot more people are going to be using the Handmade Rifle. Then finally, up next we have the Assault Rifle, coming 32 to 17. Also a huge change, just like the Handmade Rifle. That's going to be a big thing, as you're noticing. The Assault Rifles and Combat Rifles are getting boosted. Speaking of Combat Rifles, up next we have the Combat Rifle going from 25 to 15. Then the Fixer, which is pretty crazy. This is one I was confused about because you could get your Fixer AP cost down to like 3 if you bought it correctly. So it's going from 25 to 16, which is pretty crazy. Then we have the Radium Rifle, same thing with the Fixer, going 25 to 16. Up next, we have probably the biggest change, which is the Submachine Gun going from 35 to 15. That's going to be huge for all the Elder's Mark mains out there. The Tesla Rifle going from 30 to 17, which is kind of useless because the Tesla is really just a tagging weapon. You're not going to need VATS for it. And then up next, we have kind of an insignificant change, the V63 Laser Carbine going from 40 to 30. They definitely could have worked on that one a little bit more. But basically, if it's a rifle, and especially if it's an assault rifle, you're eating pretty good off of this one. And yes, even the Fixer is getting that AP love, which is, again, kind of wild considering that it is like borderline busted with the AP cost, and it's not necessarily a high AP cost weapon at all. But it doesn't matter if it's an energy weapon or an assault rifle, you're good. But there you go. Those are the AP costs. Again, that Alien Disintegrator, Handmade Rifle, Assault Rifle, and the Fixer, and the submachine guns in general, too, also getting a nice little boost in there. Now, moving on to the actual meat of this update. So, like I said, getting down to the real meat of this update, what everyone cares about, the actual raw damage for weapons that are getting increased, and there is a lot of them, so stay tuned. So bear with me, I'm going to cover them a little quickly. Just a quick little note, all these damage numbers are at the max weapon level. All lower level damage numbers are scaled proportionally. Now let's get into these numbers, as you'll see on screen right now. So again, they're really pushing the Alien Disintegrator. That one's going from 40 to 66, which is really nice, a whole 26 damage boost, which is pretty crazy. We have the Handmade Rifle going from 45 to 52, which is nice. Nothing to really write home about, but that extra 7 damage is going to definitely help a lot of builds out. Now, here's the crazy one. We have the Assault Rifle going from 33 damage to 66 damage. It's getting double damage. They are pack-a-punching the Assault Rifle. It is pretty crazy. So that's kind of the huge thing of this update. It's now doing as much damage as the Alien Disintegrator, and a lot of people will be using Assault Rifles more, and it's doing more damage than the Handmade Rifle, which is pretty crazy because the Assault Rifle is so, you can mod it with basically any modification that you want. It's pretty nutty to think that they're giving this much damage to it. Next up, we have the Combat Rifle going from 40 to 53. We have the Fixer getting a damage increase, which is kind of crazy. It's going from 40 to 59. But It also has a note under it. This weapon no longer has an additional 20% damage bonus over the combat rifle, which is kind of interesting. Now we have the radium rifle going from 37 physical to 15 radiation to 42 physical and 17 radiation, so it's getting boosted all around. We have another pretty huge change going with the submachine gun from 29 to 47, which is going to be huge. Again, that's really going to help with the Elder's Mark. Up next, we have the railway rifle going from 95 to 112. So if you thought that the railway wasn't getting as much love in the new raid update because of the whole entire switching meta to heavy guns thing, they're back now, baby. Prepare yourself. Up next, we have the laser rifle getting a pretty huge jump as well. People are going to start using these again, and they're going to make them in a meta, especially with the Onslaught build going from 44 to 72 damage, which is crazy. Then the Ultrasight laser gun we have going from 40 damage to 80 damage. Again, another double damage. They're really trying to push the assault rifle thing, whether it is an energy weapon or not. Then we have the plasma gun going from 29 physical, 29 energy to 58 physical, 58 energy, which is just insane. That's getting such a big boost. Then we have the Enclave plasma gun, 32 physical, 32 energy to 71 physical and 71 energy. It's completely broken. They're adding so much damage to everything. We have the 10mm submachine gun going from 34 to 42. Nothing to write home about. Combat shotgun going from 97 to 150, which is huge. As you can see, the shotguns are also getting a lot of love in terms of raw damage. The Tesla rifle going from 78 to 112, which is unnecessary. The lever action rifle going from 88 to 103, which is really nice. Again, another huge damage jump here. We have the double barrel going from 140 to 204, which is really, really nice. The cold shoulder, again, getting a nice little boost going 91 physical, 91 cryo to 122 physical, 122 cryo, which is awesome. The hunting rifle going from 140 to 171. The Gauss pistol, which a huge change. This is going to completely change up everyone's gunslinger pistol build, going from 115 to 218. Same thing with the Gauss rifle, 146 to 279. And then the Gauss shotgun, we have 187 to 285, which is just immaculate. Those numbers are insane. These are going to feel like Gauss weapons from Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 finally. Up next, we have the V63 laser carbine going from 44 to 59. Then we have the pump action shotgun going from 102 to 172, getting a pure 70 damage increase. The pipe bolt action going from 94 to 150. Pipe revolver 85 to 140. Pipe gun 28 to 42. Interesting here, the pepper shaker going from 75 to 95, which is going to be really big, just an additional 20 damage for everyone. And then the black powder rifle, 217 to 449. Which is just insane. There are going to be so many one-hit builds with that thing, I guarantee it. And then the Dragon 2, 255 to 541, which is just insane. Just like all of the AP cost buffs, we could see the assault rifles are getting the biggest boost to their damage. It doesn't matter if it's handmade, the fixer, just a plain assault rifle. Again, this is because the raid update made most of these weapons kind of obsolete. Now everyone is using heavy weapons or melee, so they kind of needed to fix their golden goat of the fixer and the railway. I mean, don't get me wrong, people are still using them, and they're still fantastic weapons, and you could go through all of the content in the game. However, the Gatling Plasma really got some love in the last couple of updates, and it threw everyone for a huge turn. But as you could also see, shotguns are getting a huge buff, which is going to be crazy nice paired with the new Onslaught mechanic. It seriously will make them really fun and actually usable and get again. And then, of course, all of the Gauss weapons, too, are getting a huge buff. I cannot wait to play around with those. I'm going to come out with just a whole entire Gauss build for you guys, like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. It's going to be really nice. But there is one more change that I want to talk about. Now, the last thing that is getting a drastic change I think people should talk about is the fact that some weapons are having their crit damage increased, which again is pretty crazy, and you could probably guess what class of weapons are going to benefit the most from this, but here's the full list. Let's do a quick breakdown as always. Alien Disintegrator going from 2 to 2.25. Handmade going from 2 to 2.25. Assault Rifle, Combat Rifle, Radium Rifle, Tesla Rifle, all going from 2 to 2.25. Here's something interesting though. The Gamma Gun is going from 2.75 to 2.5. So it is getting a slight nerf, but nothing too crazy. It is still 100% usable on the Ghoul and probably its best pairing weapon besides the Auto Axe. Then we have the Railway Rifle going from 2 to 2.25, which is just insane. We have the Laser Gun going from 2 to 2.5, which is crazy. We have the Ultrasight Laser Gun, Plasma Gun, Enclave Plasma Gun, Submachine Gun, 10mm SMG, Combat Shotgun, Tesla Rifle, Lever Action Rifle, Double Barrel, and the Cold Shoulder Hunting Rifle, Gauss Rifle, Gauss Shotgun, Laser Carbine, all going from 2.0 to either 2.25 or 3, as you see with the Lever Action Hunting Rifle and Gauss Rifle. They're trying to make those criticals much more powerful than what they once were, but basically everything is going up besides the Gamma Gun for some odd reason. I guess they really didn't like how well it paired with the Ghoul playstyles, but just like all the others, you could tell Assault Rifles are the main ones that are getting that really nice kick up there. It will just be so stupid with your commando builds now, with your low AP constant critical commando builds now, that you'll be able to do more critical damage with your Railway Rifle or more critical damage with your Handmade Rifle or Assault Rifle. It's stupid, the changes that they're making. They're making so many weapons much more versatile now, and it's definitely more enjoyable. But those are the three biggest changes. We have the AP cost, we have the weapon damage, and then we have the critical damage. Either a plus, or really I think the only minus in this entire video is the Gamma Gun, which is getting some of its critical damage taken away. So what are the main takeaways from this whole update of the combat system and the weapon damage system in Fallout 76? As you could see, most weapon types will be getting a rather large damage increase, and basically just besides heavy guns for some odd reason. Well, not for some odd reason, because the last raid update kind of made heavy guns the top of the food chain, and now they want to disperse that a little bit more. But you could see that all weapons are getting a rather large damage increase, either through raw damage, increased crit damage, or really both. This should allow players to have significantly more freedom when making builds or using certain weapons. As you know, the meta for Fallout 76 has always been pretty cut and dry. The Fixer or Gatling Plasma, that's pretty much it, you know, that's basically what it was. Throw a Railway in there, there you go. This should allow players to have a lot more, choice and freedom when going and picking out a weapon, and it will kind of level out the playing field a little bit more, especially the Assault Rifle, because of how early of a weapon you could get, how early you get it, and how versatile it really is in terms of modifications. It really should be significantly better than it is currently, and I'm glad that they actually are making it better. We can at least determine from these numbers that Bethesda plans on making assault rifles as strong as possible. Doesn't matter if it's a fixer or a handmade, they want it at the top of the meta. Hopefully because of this, people will, that use the commando builds will also sub in submachine guns like the Elder's Mark, and then also just even a plain Jane assault rifle with some legendary mods on it. But you could throw that in your everyday rotation now, and you could even throw most weapons in your everyday rotation now. Shotgun builds are going to be extremely strong, and then as you saw, that Gauss pistol is going to be probably the best pistol that you could possibly use for a gunslinger build in Fallout 76. And again, if you're a shotgun fan, congratulations, you're finally getting from some fan service after all of the nerfs over the past couple of years. They are basically buffing everything, including the pepper shaker, so I guess heavy weapons are getting some love, but I'm personally excited for this huge weapon rebalance thing. I think that you should be too. As you could tell from this list, they really want you to be able to use other weapons, especially the laser rifle. Because I haven't really used a laser rifle in Fallout 76 ever, besides when I was first going through the game, and I miss it so much because it's one of the cooler weapons that's been around since Fallout 3 in the beginning, and Fallout 2. It's an enjoyable weapon to use. and it definitely should be stronger in the game. I'm just glad that they're finally giving some shoutouts to some other weapons. But there we have it, ladies and gents of the Wasteland. We've made it to the end of another Fallout 76 video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. What do you think about these new weapon changes? Like I said, personally, I'm a fan. I enjoy using different weapons. It makes the game feel fresh. These changes won't be coming out for a couple of months, though. Like I said, it'll come out with the fishing update, so we still have to get through Season 20. But Season 21, when that comes out, this also should be out, so just keep that in mind. And yeah, as always, I appreciate you motherfuckers for watching this motherfucking video, and I will see you out there in the Wasteland, hopefully preparing for this new game-changing update.